Stephanie Somerville, and I'm your guide to all things phenomenal. So I would like to talk about the Queen. The Queen was very important in my life because she is the fundamental reason why I'm here doing what I'm doing today. Because when I was growing up back in southern Indiana, I was 13 years old when Princess Diana was getting married to Charles. And that was my first exposure to royalty and seeing England and what life was about. And from that perspective, I learned that life was so much more than what I was surrounded with in my world, with just corn and people going to work and stuff like that. And it made me want to be a better person. In college, I went to study Shakespeare with a teacher in England. And at the end of one of my breaks, I was in London and it was Christmas time. And I bought a bunch of Christmas cards right before I was getting ready to leave to go back home. And I had filled out all these Christmas cards because I wanted to send them to family members because I was in England. It was like they'd get the stamp and it would be kind of exciting. And then I had 2 postcards left. So I decided I didn't know any more addresses. Back then you had to kind of have addresses memorized. So I sent the last 2 postcards to 2 very famous people. One was President Bill Clinton. And so I wrote him because I know his address. He was the president at the time. He was in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. And the other person that I had wanted to send, what I sent a card to was the Queen, because she was right there in Buckingham Palace. I was right across the street in a cafe filling out the Christmas cards. So when I sent her this Christmas card, I told her very much how much I was inspired by her life, by what she had done. And I described to her the first time of seeing Charles and Diana when they were married, and I thought that she had a beautiful country. And then when I closed the letter by asking her if she would please be kinder to Princess Diana, because Diana was going through a hard time, and according to the papers, the Queen was pretty hard on her. And I didn't think anything about it, so I put the card in the mail. And now it's February, I'm back home in Indiana, and I open a mailbox one day and I get a letter, and it is from Buckingham Palace. And it's actually from her lady in waiting. It is signed by the lady in waiting to the Queen. And it begins, the letter, I can't remember all of it now, but basically it was like, I am commanded by the Queen to write to you. That's how the letter begins. And she says something nice about like how she appreciated my letter and my thoughts. And then it was signed by this woman. It was just extraordinary. But that one letter, it kind of made all the difference in my life, because it gave me a sense of like purpose. Like I looked at this letter and I thought that for the first time in my life, I must be somebody special. And from that, I used that moment to become a better person. I just decided from that moment forward, I needed to be a better person, simply because the Queen of England or her lady in waiting wrote to me. So I need to behave like a person that gets letters from Buckingham Palace. And it was that moment that changed my life. So now when we look at today, like when you see all those people filing by the Queen's coffin today in Buckingham Palace, for the next 4 days she's lying in state, and you see these people that are deeply emotional and deeply crying, I can relate to that, because it makes you feel like when you have something like that, when you have something like a queen or somebody that is like that, it just makes you feel like you need to be a better person. And that is why I think Queen Elizabeth will be missed, was because all of her whole world, there was so much attention to detail, there was so much ritual, and there was so much importance, so that when she paid attention to people, just ordinary people, it made you feel important. And I feel like that's what we all need to do for each other and ourselves. It's one of the things I do on the ship, being the cruise director. I think of it as a job, but for some people, they look to this role as me being someone important. And so I need to kind of live up to that, and I use that letter from the Queen to help me do that. I don't know how I feel about Charles. Charles really kind of upset me because of the way that Diana died. He didn't seem to have enough compassion. So I feel like the Queen embodied so much compassion for her people, and she cared about them. And I feel like Charles doesn't care about his people. And so that everything he will do, it's more like he's going through the motions. And I know that that's so unfair. And I think that that's what's also so funny is that I don't know these people. I don't know the royalty. I don't know the Queen. But I talk about them and I feel about them as if they are, like I do know them, right? But even though I don't. And I think that that's one of the things that made Queen Elizabeth so special and so amazing, is that she was very, you wanted to know about her. You wanted to be all in her business, so to speak. And that's why I was so judgmental of her when I talked about Diana, right? When I talked about how I asked her to be kinder to the Queen. I feel like the biggest difference after now that the Queen has passed away, is that there will be, I feel like all of England will have a little less heart. Like it might be a little more colder, because she was the heart, and she was very, so kind, and she made you want to be a better person. And I'm not sure that Prince Charles will make you feel that way. I shouldn't say that, but I just hate Camilla. I don't know, we gotta cut this out because I really don't like her. And I don't really like how Charles had dumped Princess Diana for Camilla. To me, that shows a lack of discipline. Whereas Queen Elizabeth, if she were in the same position, she would have stuck that out, because she understood that grace and decorum was part of her job as royalty, that she was there to serve more than just herself. She was also there to serve her people. And it may have been a different time, and I think that that's what England is going to miss, is sort of the dignity and decency and decorum and grace that woman had. I really believe it. Hi, so that's it for me. Thank you for listening to my story. If you like them and would like to hear more, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll bring you some more in the coming days. We'll see ya. Bye.